Australian, and we thank her for organising these three wonderful young Chinese Australian women. We begin with Zhao Liang. Hello, Zhao.
Hi.
And you're a harpist. You've brought this exquisite instrument in.
Oh, yes, thank you.
It's a very sort of long sort of harp that you rest. It's vertical.
Yeah, well,
it's horizontal. Right?
Yes. Yeah, so it's my sister describes it as the table harp.
Yes.
Because it's kind of like a harp, but it's horizontal, and you can have it on the table and play, but I do have it on racks. And it does trace back to more than 2,500 years. It's one of the most traditional.
And we'll hear it at the end of this session. Yeah. And you immediately you imagine you're sort of swanning around the forbidden city or the summer palace with a whole lot of eunuchs.
Oh,
you know, it has that. It takes you back into time, into the very traditions of the rich traditions of Chinese music and arts.
Yeah, it tries to picture a lot of the culture and traditions of the Chinese.
You started to learn when you were 6 in Singapore.
Yes, I did. Yeah, back then it was still a very rare instrument in Singapore.
You came here in 2004.
Yes, I did.
And now you teach this. You established the School of Chinese Music and Arts in Goodger Street.
Yes.
And you teach all kinds of Chinese instruments.
Well, mainly I teach this Chinese instrument, the guzheng. That's this table harp that we've been talking about. And right now there's also the Chinese lute, the pipa, and also the erhu, which is the Chinese violin, and they're taught by other teachers.
Is that a kind of one-string instrument?
Yeah, it looks one string, but it's actually 2 strings.
Oh, is it?
It's almost hidden in there, and it goes with a bow that goes horizontal.
Yes. Yeah. And you studied also at the Central Conservatory of Music in Beijing.
Yes, I did some funded by Arts SA. I had the chance to go to Beijing, to the Central Conservatory of Music, and I did master classes there with some really great masters, and it's really given me a great insight to the music.
What did you learn?
I think the greatest thing I learned was about the traditions and the root of it, like the core. And I think the essence of it really ties down that music is multicultural and it's not just Chinese or anything.
And is there a spiritual aspect?
I think there is.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very zen-ish, and it comes. Music at the end of the day, it comes down to breathing, and it's feeling that oneness with yourself and with others playing together.
How do you feel when you play?
I feel calmness when I'm playing songs on my own. But depending on the pieces, sometimes it's a chance for me to vent my frustration. Sometimes it's a chance to bond with people and create that harmony.
Our second guest tonight here on The Gals, Penelope Shum. Hello, Penelope.
Hi, how are you?
You look like a dancer.
Oh, thank you.
And you are. You've danced everywhere.
I have. I've done plenty of travelling, and it's been really wonderful.
All kinds of styles.
All kinds of styles, yes. I have quite the eclectic range of
What's
dance
popping?
styles. Popping is a funk style that evolved on the west coast of America, sort of around the 70s. And it's, I guess, identified by a fast contraction of your muscles done to the beat of the music.
And what's whacking?
It's whacking.
Whacking?
Whacking.
It's got 2 A's.
Yes, it does. Sometimes it's spelt with a WH as well and 1 A. Whacking is a dance that grew out of the disco era, also on the west coast of America. To whack is to strike with force, so it's a dance that is very dramatic, very emotional, lots of fast rhythmic movements with the arms, and it's very lively.
You graduated from WAPA,
yes,
of course, which is a very distinguished school, and then you performed in the Philippines. You're all over the place. And yes, what have been highlights of working all over the place?
Well, definitely one of the highlights is the other people that you meet along the way. So I actually met a two-time world champion dance crew, the Philippine All-Stars, when I was in Adelaide. We were performing alongside them at a sort of community dance concert, and they invited me to go back to the Philippines and dance with them and train with them and perform with them. So it's those sort of experiences where you get to perform with a world-renowned dance crew to thousands of people in a stadium, and that might be a corporate event, but at the same time we also travelled to some of the provinces and did performances there, and just to connect with dancers in that community, to go to places where you never thought that you would find yourself doing this thing that you love at such an elite level, and realising how much it can transcend cultural barriers or language barriers.
Well, you've taught hip hop and street dance to indigenous communities.
Yes, so last year I was very lucky. I was headhunted to go to a community in the APY lands, to Mimili, and I thought, this is going to be a great adventure, and it was, to go up, and I was there for a week choreographing for a dance of Stedford, and maybe that's a little bit naive of me to be like, what are they doing having a dance of Stedford in the middle of the desert in South Australia? But it was wonderful. Again, that's another one of those sort of moments where you realise how far, hip-hop as a culture can travel, and the music and the attraction to it, so that I can go there as an individual, with my background, to go and meet them, on the same line of thinking, and,
Which of your parents is Chinese?
My father.
You have stage beauty. You have stage looks.
You have charm.
And our third gal tonight, it's Jenny Liu?
Yes. Hi, Peter.
Do I say Liu?
Liu.
Liu.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, you're a high-achieving student. You came from China in 2009. You were 17, so you've been here 7 years.
Yes,
nearly
almost.
8 years. What do you study?
Well, I studied accounting, Bachelor of Accounting at the uni.
Yes.
And then I got my permanent resident after graduate, and by passing the IELTS test, 7.5 average.
What test?
It's IELTS test. So it's International English Language Testing System.
I see, yes. Ah.
So many students used to pass that test in order to get PR.
Of course, yeah.
Yes.
You're also a pianist.
Not pianist. This is my hobby, because I started learning piano since 4 years old, and then I keep learning piano in high school here, Charles Campbell College.
Good school.
Performing Arts Special School.
Yes,
I really
of course.
enjoyed
Yes,
studying
you
there.
would've.
Very
You
friendly classmates and teachers. And then also I reckon accounting is not a really interesting subject. So I started teaching piano when I was a freshman in uni.
Yes.
And then I made a lot of friends, both local and international students.
Yes.
And then I really enjoyed teaching and helping people.
Yes.
So that's why I also become a tutor in Glenanga High School and Charles Campbell College. And
in piano?
no, it's math studies, business studies, economics, and something like ESL studies. So I really like teaching, so I want to become a teacher in the future.
And you're a piano teacher as well?
Piano teacher when I'm teaching at home privately. And
what's your job of work? You're studying again, I think.
yeah, I'm
aren't you?
still studying education at the uni.
Keep studying.
I like
keep
studying, yes.
And just keep going.
Well, yeah, I think studying is it's a whole life. You can't just stop after the uni.
But really you've worked too.
Yeah, I've gained a lot from studying, and then.
But you're not just a student all this time, because you've worked and earned, haven't you?
Yeah. I
also attended different kinds of events, activities, such as a street party. I'm the coordinator of the Chinatown SA. Eric is our vice president, so I help him organize the Lunar New Year street party, which will be on the 13th of February, next Saturday.
And that's good because there are younger Chinese Australians involved, such as yourself, and you're involved too.
All of us involved.
All of you are involved.
Yeah, I'll also be doing like 3 performances, which is dancing.
Three wonderful young women here.
Thank you.
Here on the evening show on 891, it's nearly 10 to 8.
Perfect. Conversations.
Right, okay, I'm not going to let you laugh now, but I'm going to pick that laugh up and get it later.
Is that like a break?
What do you do, Mike, after you've stopped?
My grandparents would have to go and sleep in the stable with the animals while the landlord and his wife took up the matrimonial bed.
Did your parents know you were out tracking weapons as a 12-year-old kid?
No.
Listen back to any Conversations interview on the ABC Radio app or go to abc.net.au/conversations.
This is the evening program with Peter Goers.
There's only one Peter Goers on 891 ABC Adelaide and across South Australia and Broken Hill.
You're all high-achieving young women, Jenny Liu, Penelope Shum and Zhao Liang. Am I saying this correctly? You'll excuse my inept pronunciation. Is there pressure in the Chinese, the family, to achieve? I mean, particularly, you know, you're all high achievers, but if you just sort of said, look, I can't be bothered doing any of this and I'm going to sit here watching Oprah and eat Tim Tam biscuits.
I would be the best at it then.
Tempting. But would your parents have been disappointed?
I think when my parents, I actually graduated in Uni SA as an accountant as well. So my parents did expect me to really become an accountant for my life.
Yes.
And I did. I was an accountant. I finished my CPA and all. But I think at the end of the day, they really let me and they accepted and let me do what I pursued, which was music and the school. Yes.
Well, you've got to be happy in what you do, don't you? And
Absolutely.
Yes. And I think you're realising, because you graduated as an accountant, Jenny, didn't you?
Yes, because I'm the only child in my family, so my parents really have a high expectation for me, and I don't want to let them down, so I always try my best, try hard to get good results. And but I think they really want me to become an accountant, but I like teaching and helping people more. It's really my passion and a hobby, and I think it's more meaningful than from my view.
There's a lot of accountants, but we need all the, and look, you know, accountants are valuable, but we need all the teachers we can get.
To teach accountants.
Exactly. But, you know, teaching is the most noble profession, and it's the most important profession, isn't it? And you've got a number of things you can teach there. Yes. But you see, there's a great deal of elder respect for one's elders in the Asian community, isn't there? In Asian countries,
exactly.
Which we could learn from, couldn't we, in a way?
Like I know the Confucius, thousands of years ago, he taught us to respect elder people, respect teachers, respect parents, looking after parents after they get old, and then so it already been carried on thousand years. So I really should young people in China or in Australia should learn or keep holding on this tradition.
Do you feel that with your Australian friends? Do you feel a lack of respect for their own parents? Does that worry you?
I think that it's a different way of respect, and we're all trying to balance this new a new age respect as compared to the old. So in the old times, people would have the elders sit down, then they would sit, or they would have the elders eat, then they would eat. But in today's times, it's a lot about balancing it and having that in mind, but acting in a normal way. So I guess I can understand my friends and their respect, but I do want to cherish my traditions as well.
speaking of which, the Lunar New Year is crucial to Asian